Greetings all, this is Harry Nick and this is Justin.
Hello.
We are back because we got some more spoilers for X-Wing. In fact, after this video, we will have seen everything from Wave 2. Because this actually reveals everything that we didn't know about the TIE Fighter for the Scum faction, the Mining Guild TIE Fighter.
So now nearly everyone has a TIE.
Nearly everyone has a TIE, just not the Resistance and the factions that existed before TIE Fighters were even invented.
Yeah.
That seems fair enough to me. So in case you guys aren't aware, during the era of the Rebels TV show, the Empire sold some of their TIE Fighters to the Mining Guild. The Mining Guild then updated them so they could work better around asteroids, as reflected in these cards here. And as a result, they can fly through asteroids at will. And this is very, very interesting. I'll just quickly show you guys up on the screen so you can see what I mean. Mining Guild Sentry at Initiative 1, Mining Guild Surveyor at Initiative 2. And you can see here the baked-in ability. When you move, you can ignore asteroids. That still means you can't shoot on a rock, but you're not taking damage, you're not losing your actions.
Yeah, I think this ship and the Falcon together, Han Solo.
It's almost like they're trying to build a meta around asteroids themselves.
Yeah.
Also, it does care specifically about asteroids. So when we're talking about an asteroid or obstacle meta, there are now ships that specifically care about this. And in the next wave after this, we're going to get Vulture droids, which I believe care about asteroids or debris clouds. I have to double check that. But
I think it's asteroids.
yes, it would make the most sense because why could they land on a debris cloud?
Yeah.
Also, in that next wave, we're getting new types of obstacles. So a lot of cool things are coming. And I just get the impression, looking at all the things that care specifically about asteroids, I feel like if your list does not care about asteroids, you almost just won't take them because you don't want to benefit your opponents potentially in any way. So that's an interesting the idea that like there's a meta around the obstacles as well. Also, seismic charges, their values are going to go up significantly.
Definitely.
The ability to take off rocks is going to help a lot. I think more against Vulture droids than these guys because Vulture droids can latch onto a rock, so you're going to hit them all whenever you blow up the rock, and that's pretty cool. But nevertheless, TIE fighters that can fly through rocks. We were also having a chat just before about the dial. The dial is slightly worse than a regular TIE fighter. There is no 4K and the 5 straight has become red. Apart from that, it's exactly the same.
I still think it's going to be worth a little bit more than a normal TIE.
I think so. I think the fact that it's also on the Scum faction means, look, this faction does not get access to hyper-efficient stuff like the Empire does.
Yeah.
I think a 2 or 3 point increase across the board on all of these is fair, probably 2.
See, I reckon they're going to set it around the 30 mark.
You mean for the more expensive ones?
Even maybe... No, maybe not the 1s or 2s, but...
Well, the cheapest TIE fighter, the Academy Pilot on the Empire, is currently 24 points.
Yeah.
I look at this Initiative 1 guy, and I think 26, 27 points. I think that's where it's sitting at. Not so cheap that it's easy to do a big swarm out of them, but it still has to be on the table, I think. A swarm that can fly through rocks feels very powerful, but at the same time, it still can't shoot on a rock. It's still got a barrel roll out of the way if it lands on a rock. So it's not like it's hugely improved tech. And again, you might not be fighting around asteroids. Your opponent might not bring asteroids. It's a question of how much the playtesting in FFG has shown this to be a powerful effect. That is going to be the bottom line of the costing of this.
Yeah.
It might just be a case of it's not that powerful. We don't know. We weren't part of that playtesting, so I can't really comment.
Yeah.
But it looks very, very interesting. Also in the article here on the spread, we can see trick shot and static discharge vanes revealed. We had an unboxing recently occur on YouTube, and I've written up a list here. We also have a copy of Elusive, Swarm Tactics, Trick Shot, and Hull Upgrade and static discharge vanes, as I just said.
Yeah.
So a nice little collection of things. This obviously is not going to have elicits, otherwise they would have included at least one.
Yeah.
The quick build cards do not indicate any elicits.
But I don't think it needs elicits.
No, and again, that would increase the points again, so I think it's actually better without them. Plus, they're not really... They are sort of official Empire ships being handed off to an official corporation. Elicits doesn't really seem to fit with the fluff.
No.
What we can see here on the quick build cards is the Mining Surveyor does have 2 talents equipped. I'm going to guess this is just for the upgrade card, but I would be surprised if it didn't have 1.
Yeah.
Which is good. Your second to lowest generic pilot probably should always have a talent, otherwise I don't see play.
Yep.
So are we talking a crack swarm here?
I'd rather do a trick shot swarm.
Yeah, that could work too. Yeah, a trick shot swarm could be really, really cool here. That is absolutely worth thinking about as well. Because you're flying around rocks already. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
I still think crack shots in the conversation. The fact that you can fly through rocks means your positioning is less hampered, which actually does also empower crack shot a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't think anything like Predator or Marksmanship. I agree. It's trick shot or crack shot for sure. Anyway, with all that aside, let's have a look at the named pilots here because we have all 4 of them revealed in this article. 6 pilots in total. Let's go from lowest initiative to highest. At Initiative 2, Overseer Yushin? I'm not sure. Before a friendly ship at range 1 would gain a disarm token. If that ship isn't stressed, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, it gains a stress token instead.
Yeah, so this card here is going to be working with one of the other pilots very well.
Yep, which we'll talk about in a tick. Also, any friendly scum ship that can reload. Problem with that is you have this ship and you've invested in this pilot ability just to get access to that. But you might not get to the stage of the game where you need to reload.
Yeah.
There's no guaranteed upside there.
Yeah, it is still a tie. It will blow up.
Yeah, anything with a slam, but then you've got to keep it at range 1 of this guy, and that's not realistic either. Quinn Just can take a disarm token in order to recharge a charge on any one of his upgrade cards. So some of his talents and some of his ordnance and that kind of stuff. It's an option.
I suppose.
It's not terrible, but I think you're right. The pilot that we'll talk about in a tick is far more relevant here. So let's move on to the Initiative 3s. Move on to Ahab, the whale killer. Captain Ahab.
Yes, you can see the Great White Purgle just in the background there.
That's the one. While your defender perform an attack, if the enemy ship is a larger size than you, roll 1 additional die. Medium ships, large ships, and epic ships. Not that we have any epic in 2nd edition yet, but that will be an option. Cool. Lots of medium ships flying around, incidentally. Not many lists just fly small ships anymore, so that seems pretty decent. I think of all the tier lists, your fire sprays, your red lines, your Lambda-class shuttles. On the Resistance, I guess if there's like an X-Wing swarm, a 4 of X-Wing or A-Wing thing that's going to happen. I don't know.
And you're going to have the Millennium Falcon for Resistance as well.
That's true. I think that's going to be tier if anything the Resistance does become tier. And on the First Order, probably things including an Upsilon class shuttle, I imagine. I don't imagine many scenarios where this doesn't give you the extra die. And in the cases that it don't, if it's cheap enough, still Initiative 3, probably will have a talent as well. So I wouldn't stress too much about that. It is going to suck when you can't get the extra die because you've invested those points. But if it's cheap, you put it alongside a swarm.
So if you just chuck Trick Shot on it,
you're
going to feel pretty good. Occasionally rolling
4 dice, 5 dice at range 1. Range 1 through a rock, 5 dice. Sure, that's a pretty good thing a TIE fighter can do. That's for sure. Seems alright. It does rely on what your opponent's flying, which is not something I ever like all that much. But this is absolutely a flavour win. Let's give it that at least. Now, Captain Seaver was revealed in the previous article, but we'll talk about him again because now we have everything revealed. It makes a bit more sense. While you defend and perform an attack before attack dice are rolled, if you are not in the enemy's bullseye arc, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, the enemy gains 1 jam token. Locking out your opponent's tokens when they have to defend or attack you seems like a pretty decent bit of upside. And you can load this guy up and make him a better target for your opponent, so you're sort of putting him between a rock and a hard place.
Well, you're going to be next to the asteroids anyway, so he's definitely going to be in a hard place.
Trick shot. Maybe hull upgrade. I don't know. Seems okay.
Maybe Debris Gambit.
I don't mind that. It could be a really annoying thing for your opponent to deal with. I mean, it's only attacking with 2 red dice, so I don't want to invest too much in it. Again, something alongside a swarm could be a lot of fun. But Foreman Prouch, I think this is the one that people are looking at very seriously at Initiative 4.
Yeah.
Before you engage, you may choose 1 enemy ship in your bullseye firing arc at range 1 to 2, and gain 1 disarm token. If you do, that ship gains 1 tractor token. So alongside Overseer Yushin, you can still get your shot when you do this, which seems like a pretty significant amount of upside. Thinking about the scenarios where you don't have that on hand, is that too problematic.
Is a disarm token worth 1 tractor token? Is what you've got to ask.
You're taking off one of their green dice, you might reposition them. Alongside like your Anka Plut, you could have a decent amount of upside with that. You could potentially move big ships as well, potentially reposition them, get better shots on them. It might be too situational. We might be talking about Magical Christmas Land here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
You're going to be aiming this towards your bigger ships because you've got a better chance of getting it in your firing arc.
bullseye firing arc for sure, yeah.
I honestly don't think the disarm token's worth 1 tractor token.
It's rough. Yeah. People are talking about this like, oh, we're giving Scum Faction yet another little annoying tractor guy. This does not feel efficient like the Quad Jumpers do.
No.
Quad Jumpers have a far worse dial, but they, as an action, tractor.
Yeah.
No messing around. Action, tractor. Done. Sealed. Also, if they are doing it in their bullseye firing arc, 2 tractor tokens. So they can immediately roll medium-based ships. If they've got another one from another Quad Jumper, they can move big-based ships.
Yeah. And not only that, now that the 2nd edition is coming out, they've got access to the tech slot as well, so they've got a bit more...
Yeah, they're going to have Pattern Analyzer. That's going to be fantastic on the Quad Jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at this and go, I don't think that feels very consistent. Honestly, I'm looking at these guys, I'm looking specifically at the generics. That's where most of my interest is at.
Yeah, I'm looking at Ahab.
Yes. Okay, well, Ahab as well, if he's cheap enough, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Maybe one of these named guys alongside a Swarm. But I'm looking at those Initiative 1s specifically, maybe the Initiative 2s with Trick Shot or Crack Shot. How is that going to balance out? What's that going to do? Can we get potentially... what if they cost 20...
if you can fit maybe...
5 alongside Boba Fett.
5 alongside Boba Fett? Ooh.
Boba Fett's 80 points. No, that wouldn't quite fit. No. It'd be more like 4.
Yeah.
Or 4 of them, 4 2s with the talent alongside something like Boba Fett. Maybe against bombers and that kind of stuff.
Do you reckon you could go 4 of them and Han?
4 of them and Han? Or 5 of them and Han? Absolutely. You could almost get 6 alongside Han because Han is just that cheap.
Yeah, I keep forgetting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're sort of playing with the same design space as Han because he's playing around with rocks. He's trying to dive through rocks. You could have a trick shot Swarm, a tricky Han and tricky ties. That could be pretty fun. But yeah, I don't really know how they fit into the Scum faction. What I'm worried about is the fact that Quad Jumpers are just such good, efficient tractor little dudes that we just don't want these. They're just not going to fit. It just boils down to whether moving through rocks with your little cheap guys is going to be effective enough. I think it is going to be frustrating. I think it is going to snipe games. I don't know what it's going to do in terms of consistent meta performance.
Yeah.
That's my closing thoughts on this. I'm excited for this. I'll pick up at least a couple myself and see how it goes. Play around with it. I don't think it's going to rock the Scum meta for the time being. It's certainly not going to rock the lists I'm working on currently. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe a swarm of the Mining Guild ties would be a lot of fun. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Sorry the video cut out halfway through, so we're going to have to do this audio only. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Reddit. Please consider supporting the Patreon. Thank you so much to all of our existing patrons. We'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.